So, okay, so this is for IGTV, and yeah, so I think since this is recording everything, that's making life a lot easy. So being aware that there's this Instagram audience gonna watch this video, they're probably gonna read our names. So that makes life a lot easier. And I'm not an interviewer. So everyone watching, including us, me and you, let's all agree on it and let's just roll with it. so
No
so
pressure. You're
so
good.
it's not going to be conventional. So I have a question about um I'm just going to dive into it. So what is the most inspiring idea or topic that you are enthusiastic about currently, and will you tell a little bit about it?
Yeah. Can you just repeat the specific word that you used? You said idea topic that I'm
Yeah,
enthusiastic about?
exactly. So maybe there's like this idea or topic that you're currently excited or enthusiastic about, and if so, if there's one of these that you even would like to share about a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Well, I guess as of this current chapter, the topic that I'm most enthusiastic about, I like that word now, is the idea of spiritualism, and a unified reality. I guess that's what I'm most thoughtful of. I'm trying to understand the spiritual realm from, and I know that I can't, I understand that I can't understand the spiritual realm. That's the nature of the spiritual realm. It cannot be understood.
Right.
But it's fun for me and it's intriguing for me to try to gather as much perspectives as I can, and try to like make sense of what I have, to see what patterns are there that then could imply what's objective and empirical about the spiritual world versus what things we have to make certain guesses about. And one of the biggest things that I always notice is that some people look at things in the spiritual realm, they all can be looking at the same thing, but one person might call it, it's like I could look at this wall and I could say the wall is blue. You could see the same exact color and you could say that it's red. But at the end of the day, we're
Right.
still looking at the same thing. But if I go tell somebody else that, yeah, the wall was blue and boom, 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 and then you tell that same person the wall, that this other, that the wall is red and boom, 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 and they won't even know that we're talking about the same wall, then I can imagine how much confusion that causes. So stuff like that that I try to like, I've been interested in seeing like, okay, what are the different names that we give the same thing in the spiritual realm, and
Yeah.
what is it really, um, to at least the best of my finite human knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
That's interesting. I was thinking because as you were speaking, I had a question. So if you would talk about one object, like in this case, like the theme would be spirituality. I
Mm,
would also assume that there's like endless, infinite like perspectives on that, and so I think there's so much to almost consume from that. So that was one thing I was thinking, and then I was wondering, like with the question, like if multiple people would look at one team, for example, a wall or spirituality, aren't they all right? That was my question
mm,
to you. But then you said, no, maybe the object is always right or true. There's a truth there in the team, and that's objective. And then I was like, wow.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, like, if you want to, so I want to throw the ball back at you. Like, do you have something to say about that?
Yeah. No, I think that that's probably what it is. Like, I think that because then it goes back to, do I believe in absolute truth or not? Personally, as of this time in life, I do believe in absolute truth. Like, I believe
Right.
that there are just things that are like, okay, is the world really round? Yes or no? And it's like, well, we can believe right now that it's round. I'm not a flat earther. I want to make that clear. But I can see personally, and I know that people could laugh at me about this, but I can see where flat earthers come from, because
Mhm.
like where they're coming from, because they have their own logical reasoning to believe that no, the earth is flat. And the truth of the matter is, as foolish as this might sound, nobody can really know 100% unless if they go out in space themselves and look at the earth and then they
Exactly.
see. Because
Yes.
we can all be like, what do you mean, Denzel? Like, NASA put out pictures, but we have been fooled by the media so many times by things that it's like, I mean, I'm choosing to believe NASA. I'm choosing to put my faith in NASA.
Right.
But I know that there's also a possibility, even if it's small, that NASA, for whatever psychotic reason, is fooling us into believing that the Earth is round. For, again, like, for whatever reason, I don't even know why they would do that, but I'm
Right.
open to that
There's
possibility.
some things that we
Yeah,
can know for sure, right? So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting. And I think I also recently, maybe, I don't know if you enjoyed this, but I personally do, to sort of um, get a deeper understanding. So for me, for example, right now I work in the food industry, and we just work with in a production line, and there's all these salads coming up. And so some okay, so with um for example, a personality hacker, we're both into the Myers-Briggs,
Hmm.
ENFJ. um there's a journal for ENFJs, and the first page, it says, how can your extroverted sensing support your introverted intuition? And I
Hmm.
think this is also what it, for me at least, it connects in my heart. My heart is like, oh, I think I've noticed a situation where I jump from perspective to perspective, and these people are telling me their perspective, but it's
Hmm.
subjective. It's just
Yes,
like
yes,
assumptions. And then I
right.
always say, like, okay, and how can the SE support the NI perspective
Hmm.
of the people's speaking? And then I say, okay, I got my sight. So let's walk with our bodies toward it and look until we know the truth. And if we cannot see the truth, let's walk up to somebody that has been there with their body and eyes and
Hmm.
check for feedback. Like, and I do that. So we make a few guesses, like intuitive
Hmm.
guesses. Like, person A guesses this, person B is guessing this, C is guessing that, me, I make a guess. And then we investigate for the truth in the extroverted sensing world, so to say. And then it's like, who guessed right, so it's
Hmm.
sort of like,
Hmm. Right.
yeah. And looking at it lightly, for
Hmm.
me, makes it really, really warm and fuzzy. So, and then, in this scenario, for example, with work, there were a few people making guesses, and some people were not that positive, and other people shrug it off. And there's all these reactions that we as people can have. And then I was like, well, I think I've observed a few things, and if I tie all these things together, then this would be a likely uh, chance, like 70% sure it's this in the actual extrovert sensing reality. And then I walked up to my team leader. I said, yeah, there's a lot of blah, blah, blah in the work spot, and a lot of, I think this, I think that. And it's not that positive, but I was making my guess until 70% accuracy, because there's only so much I can see. So I'm checking in
Hmm.
with you. Is this the truth or is that the truth? And then he was
Right.
like, no, your truth is the truth. Your guess is right. And and the other ones is like false assumptions. It's not the truth. So, and it was about something simple with a microphone communicating between two different rooms
Mm-hmm.
about a specific technical process. And
Yeah.
we as working bees, we cannot see the microphone interaction, right? You cannot really
Mm-hmm.
observe it. We cannot hear
Hmm.
it. So we had to guess. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it made me think of that, because I think the power of ENFJs is, let's make calculated guesses and take in the perspectives of others. At least we're aware. Most aren't aware. So that's already something to be very mindful of. And then see it as a power, like, oh, we can actually use our feet to go see and observe. And then we know the truth, and then we can adapt.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly it. Because we might actually have the right answer. If the Earth is really round,
Yeah.
we might already believe that, but we don't know it 100% for fact until we see it for ourselves,
Yeah.
maybe.
Let's go see.
However, right. However, whether we believe in the truth or not does not change what the truth is. And I
Exactly.
think that
That's
that's a big
objective.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just believe that, our I believe that what's the word? Our perspective of the truth is subjective, but the
Yes.
truth itself is objective
Yeah.
or
It
empirical
just
in
is.
nature.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
Perfect.
now when we bring in like even to like terms of like God,
Hmm.
whether somebody believes in God or not does not change whether or not God is real,
Right.
or not. If somebody believes that God is good or not, that doesn't change the fact whether or not God is good or if he's not. So, there's even people who are like, yeah, well, I don't believe in God because I disagree with the things that he says here and this, that. And it's like, okay, well, that doesn't change if he really exists. Or it's like, oh, I do believe in God because, I agree with this, that. Well, that doesn't mean that he does exist. It just,
Yes.
truth is just truth. And so for me,
Super
it's like
cool.
I try to do, yeah, the best that I can to like be aware of my biases because I know that
Yeah.
everybody is biased.
Yeah.
So, but my whole thing is I want to be aware of where I'm biased about so that if I'm talking with somebody who doesn't share the same perspective as I do, um, I can be aware of like where my fallacies might happen and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
to answer your question, that's one of the things that I've been contemplating a lot recently.
That's awesome, especially with something like spirituality, which is very difficult to find tangibility in. It's in the extroverted
Oh yeah,
sensing, right? So
yeah,
I think
very.
that's even more fascinating, because you can also keep looking, but only to a certain extent. If it's like a bar, how far can you actually, with your extroverted sensing, sense it, right? So,
Exactly.
and that makes it interesting to, at least for me, exciting and like mind blowing, like that you could even look at it that way. So, yeah, very awesome, man.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Holy crap. That's so cool. Yeah, this just makes me smile. That's so cool. So, so how would you go on about it to check out like this spirituality? Would you are you are would you, so if you really want to objectively seek for this that you're looking for, would you be interested in looking at different religions, or just talking to different people, and um or look more internally, or I don't know, like how would you go on about it to, you know, check
Yeah,
out this topic?
everything that you just said, that's pretty much how I'd go about it. It has to
Oh.
be a mix. Yeah, like because if I only look internally, then I'm missing, other people's perspectives. If I
Mm,
only look at other people's perspectives, then I'm not really forming one for my own to be able
mm,
to solidify on.
mm,
Because you know what they say, like if you stand if you don't stand for something, then you'll fall for anything. But also, like, if you do stand for something, then you've kind of already fallen for something too. So it's
Right.
like, yeah, but I want to choose that whatever I fall for, I want to know that I'm actively falling for it, you know. So the way that I go about it is just, you know, holding whatever I believe as, you know, this is what I personally believe, but I know that it could be wrong. And so just
Right.
gathering what other people think and then looking back at what I think, and I'm like, okay, I think I might add that here and I might
Ah,
take this out. Or no, okay, I don't think I'm gonna add that, but that's interesting. I'll hold that over here. Maybe I might
right.
add it later, or maybe I won't, depending on if I get more information, stuff like that. But yeah, like one of the interesting things that, you know, I've thought about recently was like even people who do like psychedelics, people who don't even know anything about psychedelics and the type of spiritual beings that you'll meet when you do those. Um, like there was a guy I know who like literally he never did psychedelics before. He never knew about, you know, the experiences that you have when you take psychedelics, except that, you know, like, okay, you're just gonna trip or whatever.
Mhm.
When he came back from his trip, then he was telling his friends who were familiar with psychedelics about his trip. And he's like, yeah, you know, this is that. And I saw these creatures that were like, and he starts to describe the creatures. And the next thing you know, the friends are like, ha, you saw the machine gun elves. And it's like, the what? And when you go on YouTube, there's people talking about the same creatures that they also saw. And
Right.
it's like, so to me, it's like, okay, I've never done psychedelics before. I don't plan to as of this, you know, time in life. I don't like to say never, like never will do anything because I guess you never know. But I feel like, because I don't really like being in an altered state of mind.
Mhm.
The furthest that I'd go is being tipsy. I don't even like getting drunk. I'd
Mhm.
never been drunk before, but you know, stuff like that. So um, I don't foresee myself doing psychedelics in this lifetime. But from hearing other people's perspectives on it and seeing that they have this shared reality of they're all
Right.
experiencing these machine gun elf beings that they were all able to now agree upon, like, hey, just like how if we were to look at this wall and be like, we think that this wall is white, now we all agree upon that wall is white. So when I go out and I say the white wall, everybody knows what wall I'm talking about, you know,
Exactly.
hypothetically. So everybody knows what the machine gun elves are. And it's
Yeah.
like that's amazing. And that means that there must really be a machine gun elf, unless if we were to take it further and it's like, okay, we're all in a simulated reality, and so there isn't really a machine gun elf, and there really isn't a wall. We're just all having that downloaded into our brains, and
Right.
that's another theory.
Yeah,
You
then
know,
the
but
wall sort of falls.
yeah.
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 I've had those experiences as well as a child. I had some abstract insights and then I had them sort of diminish. And it
Yeah.
kind of feels like what you're describing here. So I'm like, oh, I know what that feels like.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
Exactly. So
yes.
yeah, but yeah, like, so if everybody's talking about these machine gun elves, even when they don't know about the machine gun elves in advance, like it'd be different if the guy who took it watched videos about the machine gun elves or something, and then he took it, and then because
Right.
then I would probably be like, oh well, you know, maybe
The
you saw
setting
them
was created
because
first and then
exactly,
yeah.
exactly, but because he had no idea, I'm like, that's crazy. Then
Yeah.
there's really a spiritual realm. There's really something that's there. We just don't understand it. And so because, you know, when we see anything, then it's like, you know, Christians might be like, oh, those are demons, like right away, you
Yeah, the
know?
interpretation of it, that on itself, then we get into the again, like just the interpretations of it, but nonetheless there is a tangible thing there that's just very strongly standing there for whatever reason, and that's fun to look at again. So
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So there's that, you know, and then when you even like take it further, when I was younger, I had a I had a girlfriend who lived far, you know. And so we never got to really like hang out like that, but we talked on the phone all the time. This was even back before FaceTime and video chat, I think. Well, there was video chat, but it was kind of like hard. Like it was like Uvu, like those types of video chats. Like, and I didn't get to do that often. So we talked on the phone a lot. And one of the things that I wish that we could do was hang out with each other in our dreams. And so we used to like pray for that to happen. But once upon a time, I then heard about the idea of lucid dreaming, and I
Right.
was like, whoa, that's so cool. Like I could lucid dream and you could lucid dream, and then we could hang out and let's see if
Yeah.
it works. So I started looking up YouTube videos on how to lucid dream so that we could like learn together. But then I started like seeing comments about how like a lot of people were commenting saying like, hey, did you guys see the people with the black hoods in your peripheral vision? And people like hundreds of people are coming to, oh my gosh, I saw them too. I saw them too. And it was the creepiest thing. And I was like, whoa. And I'm like, you know what? And as I'm reading more and more about it, like, how are all of these people seeing them, these hooded people? And I was just like, yeah, I don't think I want to do this anymore. Like, sure, I want to hang out with my girlfriend, but
Yeah, yeah, that was
not
sort of the
worth,
point. But the other thing, yeah, it's just like hooded
yeah.
people, you're not invited to the party.
Exactly. And the fact that they're always, I don't even understand how like that works, but like apparently they're always in your peripheral. So it's like the more
Hmm,
that you keep on turning, the more that they're always like like you can't really actually see them. I was like, what is
right.
this? But again,
That's
a lot of people were sharing
so,
that
ugh.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not
So
good.
to me, once again, that's a very spiritual experience. And it's like, okay, I feel like we almost cannot deny then that
Mhm.
that's a real thing. Do we know what those hooded people are? No. We could say that they're demons. We could say that they're angels. We don't know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I just feel like, okay, no, but those things are there because enough of us have experienced it.
Hmm.
So there's that. But then of course, now when you bring it into like reality, like there's people who like, it's like, oh, I saw Bigfoot and stuff like that. To me, I feel like that's different because, you know, well, we won't even get into that. But yeah, I just feel like that's different. Like
Right.
maybe it was Bigfoot, but even then with the Bigfoot thing, it's like we found out like, okay, no, people thought it was Bigfoot when in actuality they got them confused with, I think, I forgot what it was. It wasn't gorillas, but it was something.
Right.
Forgot
It
what it
was
was.
probably misinterpretation of some sorts after,
Hmm.
yeah, that would be like my guess as well. Like, again, I would be like, just like in a workspace, in these scenarios, I'm just soaking up all the, in, all the perspectives. And then I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, and now let's go there out in the
Yeah.
field and let's go
Yeah.
see. And then we'll interpret it, but let's keep it real, let's keep it objective.
Hmm.
Maybe
Hmm.
I think personally this is also something that I share when I meet, I'm sorry to say again because it's so MBTI or Myers Briggs, but
Yeah.
when I have these moments with an ISTP, for example, because when there's, for example, one day something broke down in the house, and there's like all these, or something happened with the car, and then there's all these people coming up with all their yapping, so to say, all their
Hmm.
perspectives. And
Hmm.
sometimes for me it's just like I just want to put my fingers in my ear, like, oh, I don't want to hear it
Yeah.
because it's too much. And it's like, oh, I want to no noise anymore because I hear every perspective.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
right now it's not the time for that. And
Right.
just zip. And then I'm like, okay, now it's the time to go ISTP mode, sort of, and be like, okay, what do we see?
Hmm.
How does it
Hmm.
feel? What are the
Yeah.
materials made of
Yep.
when we walk
Yes.
up to it? And then it's
Yes.
like, okay, and with the ISTPs, I usually immediately within a second have we look at each other and we have the same conclusion, like that.
Hmm.
Not with all
Hmm.
of them, But
Mm-hmm.
most of the time in these situations, or INFJs, I don't know for sure because I don't know what their type is for sure, again,
Right.
objectively
Yeah.
speaking,
Mm-hmm.
but usually there's like some of these people I've noticed that are very, like, if you look at the ISTP description, it's just every letter of the word. And that's just really nice to have that down to earth moment, like, okay, let's go for a walk. Let's go
Yeah.
check it out,
Mm-hmm.
objectively look at it, and then draw conclusions, very earthy, reality based. and
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
and then go back to interpreting that,
Mm-hmm.
and being creative with it. and
Yeah.
uh, and yeah, I think that's really interesting because I think that makes the guesswork more grounded and more fun, and
Mm-hmm.
less tension in the air, so to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Let me put my AirPods away because I feel them about to die on me soon.
Ah,
Don't want it to interrupt.
right. And I'm gonna peek. This is a great moment to peek on this very professional not note of mine. Um,
Can you hear me?
yeah, so I think I already had some examples of how this could affect like day-to-day life, to have a uh, well, actually the insight you've just shared, and I think I just jumped there really quick, but how would that be for you, like these either with the topic of spirituality, or like this process of seeing different perspectives but then coming back to the objective truth of things, um like how could this affect day-to-day life for you?
Sometimes I feel like I'm being driven mad.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's like, oh man, I know I'll never know 100% because certain things in the spiritual realm, most things in the spiritual realm are not tangible. So
Hmm.
how much of it is, actually what we're experiencing and all of that versus something that's fabricated in my head, or, what am I imposing on this? Like, if I didn't grow up as a Christian, what would I believe that this is? But then that doesn't mean that what I believe as a Christian is wrong. Just I want to know, like, what would I believe if that wasn't influenced by it? Because maybe it is wrong. Just I just want to be open to those kind of things, that kind of like thought, to like see like, okay, what if I didn't think this was a demon, what else would I think it is? Huh? Like,
Right.
and would I still find it to be harmful? Um, and I might not ever know for sure which one is right.
Hmm.
It's just, I guess it's just something, like I said, it's just fun to think about. And then I just kind of like leave it, you know. And that leads to like a whole bunch of stuff like past lives, like, oh, people believe in past lives and twin flames and soulmates in that sense and stuff like that. And to me, I think about it as like, if I can write a book, I can decide, like, I think that I could write a book right now and be able to identify who in that book, like if I was the main character in that book, I could write who would be in one of my past lives, the people that, okay, in this fictional world, if past lives are real, if twin flames are real, all of that, then these people would be that. But
Right.
but that doesn't mean that that's the reality of my world. But who knows? Maybe it is, because nobody 100% knows like heaven and hell is real. But also,
Right.
nobody 100% knows that reincarnation is real. So we just, to me, it just becomes more of like, all right, I just kind of choose what I'm going to believe based off of certain reasoning that I have. but I can understand other people's reasoning, and I think that's cool too. And it brings more color to the world, which I
Right.
like.
Definitely.
I like the idea of like being able to like, okay, let me take off my biblical lens and let me put on the past life and twin flame lens and look at the world like that. And now let me
Yeah.
take these off and then put on, these lens. And it's like, wow, this is so interesting. And I feel like that's, to me, like that's kind of like, it's like it makes sense as to why personality hacker calls introverted intuition perspectives, because it's like,
Right.
yeah, I'm just trying these on, and especially as an ENFJ, it's like I'm trying them on a lot of times like for fun. It's not necessarily that this is my world, because I have enough extroverted sensing to, I guess, keep me grounded, to
Yeah.
be like, okay, I'm not going to go too far in this, but I can go far enough to use it creatively, maybe. Whereas,
Right.
like, I've seen like INFJs who they can get very wrapped up in that. And it's like, no, these aren't just glasses I take off and put on. These are the glasses that I keep, and like, this is just so real to me, kind of thing. And it's like, wow, that's interesting, because their extroverted sensing is last. So it's like they're not experiencing as much, or like they're not trusting as much of the empirical, objective, real world, which I find like fascinating. But yeah, it's interesting. That's kind of like how it goes for me, a lot of times.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I can imagine now, because you beautifully described it, like how that would uh, affect you personally, like especially also on a day-to-day life or a week-to-week basis even. And I think that would make you also like a exquisite, like creative writer or just storyteller. You don't I mean, why do we always have to write it down? Sometimes making it up or experiencing
Oh
it, like you say with the glasses. Oh man,
yeah.
gold. I love it. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Like you just said it all. So yeah, so that's amazing. I love it, man.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, and I think it's also very inspiring. And I would say even like if you would, I would imagine if you, for example, would say like make these little cute challenges or something. Like I'm not saying do this or anything, but I could make it up right now, like creatively, like um, from inspiration, like um, uh, make these visual glasses as an illustration with the topic in there or a specific
Mhm.
spiritual word or theme or something. And then, like this week's glasses are this, and then for to invite people to also get into the experience of it and almost like
Mhm.
embody it, like a writer or actor would, or a Denzel would. So I'm like, this is just very inspiring, super
Mhm.
cool. So thank
Thank
you.
you, Elsa. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And I like it because for me with spirituality, I personally, as I ask the questions, I don't know what comes up, but when
Mhm.
it comes to spirituality, for me as a person, I have my own thoughts and feelings and experiences, of course, when it comes to spirituality. And for me as a listener, this would be one of the most challenging topics for me. So for you to bring it up, that is just, and for me to just be present with you, that is very good. That's a good
Mhm.
practice for me as a person.
Thank you.
um yeah, because I don't know if you know this about me, but I've been growing up with
Oh yeah.
different families, and
Mhm.
everybody had their own perspective, and there was me as an ENFJ, and I just heard all this yapping at me, and I was like, oh, again, like I don't even know anymore, so I don't even want to think about the topic because it's
Mhm.
all just coming at me, all this energy, because everybody's feeling so intense, extroverted feelings. I was just like overwhelmed. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go full on science. We can't prove it. There's nothing to discuss. Stop. But that was just
Mhm.
me being completely like avalanche introverted intuition, not knowing how to create this harmony within myself with the outside world and to
Mhm, mhm,
take on these
mhm.
perspectives because it was too dominant. So for me to sit here and be present with you and to have such a beautiful experience is very, well, it's fun, and I can see the creativity in it and to being open to it. So yeah, this is very good because when I hear spirituality, the first thing I do is fall up, and I
Yep,
kept
yep.
it down. I kept it down. So
Yeah,
good.
yeah, for sure. No, that's awesome. Yeah, and I see that a lot with you too. Like you always, every time that we speak, you bring. I mean, I told you that it's funny that your Instagram name is Vivid Mindful because you always bring. It's very clear. Nobody can say that you don't have a vivid mind.
Right.
Like it's very colorful, and the way, if anything, the way that you even like describe the images that come into your mind, it's just like wow, like
Yeah.
it's very unique. So it's cool to see that, like, with all of the perspectives that you've like conglomerated, you're able to crystallize your own that you're able to share with other people too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very important point because it's very important to just like you said with the glasses, like that's your way of expressing it, and that's very important. And I think for me as another ENFJ, I've been very like I was sort of in this slumber state, but then I was in this chat group with you, and
Mhm.
especially Poetry Palace, where we do creative writing, but I tap into my introverted intuition, and with the ENTJ there as well. I think you know who I
Mhm.
mean. I won't say the name because privacy reasons, but I feel
Mhm.
like you just sort of managed everything. So I didn't
Mhm.
have to be that manager
Mhm.
archetype sort of, so I could
Yeah.
already relax and come
Yes.
down. And
Yeah.
then you have this way of just sort of, you do your magic, and then I sort of skyrocketed into creativity. And again, also with this topic that you share about, I think you're to be able to receive this from you is just amazing. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really glad that I'm able to create that space for you because that's what I want. When I created Ponder Palace and stuff, like I wanted only people that I could create that kind of space to where, even like recently, like it's not always as as it
Yeah.
used to be, but at the same time it's like I keep a pulse check on it, and it's like it's not dead, it's just
No.
resting. Yeah,
Yes.
and just like just yesterday or so, like as soon as one of us brought up a topic like what's going on in Afghanistan and stuff, happened again, so
Yeah.
it's like, okay, as long as it's still flammable, I'm fine,
Yeah.
and flammable in the sense that like conversation can spark as opposed
Mm.
to people fighting, which I really enjoy. I really like that, in Ponder Palace, nobody fights like that. It's not that,
Exactly.
oh, nobody fights because we're like, oh, no, we're not allowed to fight here. It's like, no, it's just that we're all mature and we're able to like handle disagreements and discussions in a civil manner. There's not
Exactly.
ad hominems being thrown. People are not easily offended, stuff
Yeah.
like that. And so, yeah. And then once that happens, once that space is created, then yeah, we have time, like we have the space to be able to speak our thoughts, our TI thoughts, or express our FI creativity in some way, like stuff like that. And it's, yeah, I think that's beautiful. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it truly is. It's very, very, very important. So yeah, I think, I really think that, don't underestimate the effect of it because it's very
oh,
yeah, it's very good. So
thank you, Rafra.
yeah,
I appreciate it. You're
cool.
such a sweetheart.
Oh, well, that's so cool. And I think this honestly was just for the interview's sake. So I mean, we're into the topic. This was only like the first thing I wanted to get into, but we're already on this chat for quite some time. So
Uh,
I think maybe I'll just leave it for now because good enough is good enough. And
okay.
um, I mean, like we could also always see if there's maybe another time, another place where we could pick up the conversation.
Yeah,
um,
sure.
yeah, and I think that I also really liked before we pressed record that you were so open to do like this heart's path meditation, this intention meditation, and to really get centered. And
Mhm.
yeah, I hope that that energy stays with you and unfolds with you, during your day today. And
Thank you, Elsa.
yeah, and thank you so much for the conversation. And I think for now, is there anything else you would like to share?
No, not really. I guess I just want to say thank you for having me. And yeah, you know where to find me. I appreciate once again, like you've always been like, I remember before I actually started talking to you one-on-one, I'd always see your comments on my YouTube videos from like even like 3 years ago and stuff. And it's just like, wow. And now like as I like when I see certain comments more and more and more, then I'm like, okay, I know who this person is. And then eventually when Ponder Palace was created and stuff like that, and now I've been getting to know you more and everything, it's just like, wow, like such a beautiful heart, you know. And of course, like I get to see you in the actual Ponder Palace chat, but then I thankfully get to like talk to people in Ponder Palace one-on-one as well. Because you know, those are my people. And you've just always been a really great supporter of mine, somebody that like I know is always trying to understand me and trying to like help me and encourage me. And I really appreciate your presence in this world and in my life. And I don't take that for granted. So at times when, you know, I know that sometimes you're hard on yourself. I know that sometimes you feel like, oh, you know, and I know that you've been through a lot too, like with your family and just other things, but like I want you to know that your life really does matter. And it's not just to me, but I'm sure that if I feel the way that I feel about you, a lot of other people do too, and they really deeply appreciate you. And we see it. We see it. I like I said, speaking for myself, I definitely don't take it for granted. I really appreciate you, and all that you're doing, and I know that there's going to be more to come. So just keep up what you're doing, and thanks again, once again, like for having me. Yeah, if you know it comes to a point where it's like, oh, let's do another one, again, you know where to find me. Thanks always for your patience with me. Like I know that I work a lot of times. Like even right now, the funny thing is like sometimes you'll leave me like a lot of messages, but because I'm like on a video chat with like this right now,
Yeah.
I'm doing this like, you know, with like other people, whether it's a coaching session or I'm recording a video. So I'm doing this all day. So then whatever is going on over here, I'm not really paying attention to it until I'm off. And then I have to respond real quick or
Right.
something. But if it's a long message and it's like, oh, I can't respond to that now. So I have to wait till everything. And then I'm like, oh, I'm tired. So let me get back to them. But you've never like rushed me with my
No, I
responses.
think you're
You've
super
never like,
fast. So that's really hilarious. And also the way you describe it, I'm like, is he, I, I think that when I, usually I'm the one who's like with the phone. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so busy. I have all these things going on, and I'm sorry if I'm late. And so I think we're, it's like a mirror right now. I'm like,
that's
what?
funny. Yeah, no, you don't seem to respond late to me at all.
The
Yeah.
same for
So
you. I don't think your response is late at all. Not. I always think
that's
like,
funny.
oh, that's fast.
Oh wow, well that's good. Yeah, that's good. Cool. Yeah.
So
Yeah, because
that's
sometimes like
cool.
I know like it'll look like I'm even like online at times, and you'll even see me talking in Ponder Palace. But then it's like I just like to give quality to everything that I do. Like
Yeah,
I
I
don't want
know.
to rush. So
Don't
yeah,
worry. I see it. I see it.
yeah,
It's
yeah, and
cool.
that's pretty
Cool.
much what I'm saying. Like I appreciate
Yeah.
that you see that,
Yeah. Yeah,
and everything
definitely.
else that you bring.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. And yeah, I think yeah, I think that's really cool to listen to, and I'm feeling like warm cheeks as usual. And yeah, so I think yeah, that's all really yeah, amazing that you would want to share that as well. And um yeah, I think definitely I agree with you. It's really worth checking out your YouTube. So I mean, like, for me it feels like that's really like genuinely I've been posting um some highlights of your work on my stories,
Mm,
including like I think also like the YouTube channel, because I really think that there's some really interesting things going on. And me, I just wanna um, like, for me it's good to really watch it all and engage with it all. I just really enjoy it and I really am interested, but I can
mm,
imagine that for different people it's different. But I would really also recommend it nonetheless, like no matter who you are, to just really check out your YouTube channel. Like
uh,
genuinely, that would be something that I think is important to share. And I
mhm,
have my reasons for it, but I don't want to explain them. The people can just go watch, they can just go find you. And I think if there's any intuitives watching this video, please definitely go to check out Denzel's work. Doesn't matter where, just go find him. And I would say join Ponder Palace, like try and get in there, because it's really worth it, especially as an intuitive. So that would be also something that I want to highlight. And I think also for content that is less intuitive, maybe I think the Instagram would be a cool place to go, because there's also art, there's Jamila who sings, there's some
mhm.
skateboarding, there's fun, there's a lot. So I mean, it's not very one dimensional. So I think that's all that I could add to that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Thank you once again, Osa. I appreciate it. And I hope that you also have a great rest of your day or
Thank
evening.
you. Thank you. All right. Well, I'm going to stop recording now and then we can say goodbye.
All right.